Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Diced Veggies by Kids Table Board Games.
Diced Veggies is a race game in which you are going to be competing against the other players, racing to complete as many recipes as a super chef as you possibly can. Now with this one, you are going to have a knife, not a real knife, but a cardboard knife, in which you will be slicing the different dice out in the middle of the board, separating one group from the rest that you will then use to try to complete your recipes with. Just because there's dice in this game, though, does not mean that there's luck involved. There is not really much dice rolling in this game, so don't shy away if you're somebody who can't take any dice rolling in your games. You're not going to have that be a problem with this one. Let's go down to the table where I'll show you how this one works, and then we'll come back and share thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. Alright, I have Diced Veggies out on the table. Let me show you all about this recipe fulfilling game in which you are a master chef trying to fulfill different recipes using your ingredients, which are the dice out here. And the player who can do that and earn the most points is going to be the winner in this game. As for the components, what you have, obviously you've got lots of dice in this game, dice of different colors, and each different color represents a different type of ingredient. You have your recipe cards, and you have hype cards. We'll come back to what these are in just a minute. You have a really cool cardboard knife that you will be using to cut into the shape of dice out here. It's not always going to be a rectangle, but it starts off being a rectangle. And you have some special tokens here that are going to let you use a special ability. Then you also have a frame here that you will be using to kind of keep that in an orderly fashion, much like you would in billiards, getting the pool balls together. So, how this game is going to work, everyone is going to start the game with some recipe cards in hand. You'll have a small market of 3 cards always available in the middle of the table, and players will also get these hype cards. Now, on a player's turn, it's very simple. All you'll do is take the cardboard knife and make a cut into the block of dice out here in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and set this frame off towards the side a little bit. And how this works is you make one cut and only one cut, and it has to be on the outside edge. You cannot cut right in the middle, in other words. It's got to be constantly on the outside edge, like so. And the dice that you remove cannot be of greater than 10. So in other words, I could cut these 2 dice right here because their pip value equals exactly 10, but I could not cut these 3 dice because that would be more than 10. And again, it's only one cut, and so I could not, for instance, cut right here, taking that red 3 and that green 2, and try to take this pink 5 with it, because that would take more than one cut to be able to do that. Now, the dice that you're trying to get, you're trying to match up with your different recipes. So, for instance, my stuffed peppers here, if I had this card, I would need 2 green, a beige, and a red. And again, these all mean something. So, like the green is peppers, the beige color is mushrooms, and the red is tomatoes, which makes sense because that's what you would probably find in a stuffed pepper. So let's again say that that's my card here. And so much as for what these recipe cards are, the value on the dice don't really matter. It's all about the colors. So maybe on one turn I try and get those 2. And I could set them on my cards, but I'm not necessarily committing them to this card. You can have a maximum of 8 dice at the end of your turn. So I could just set them on the card like so and continue the play. But then on a later turn, I would need some of these mushrooms to be available to me because I can't just take this one right outside like that. It has to be able to be cut with one cut. And so that would require me to make a big cut right here. And again, that's too many pips right there. I'm taking too many pips. So I would need somebody to take these dice out before I can maybe get that mushroom and place it on my board. And then I would still need another green, but you get the idea of what is happening there. And as you can see, as dice are being removed, the shape is going to change. It's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, really how a turn is going to work in this game, you make the one cut, you cook your recipes if you have the dice that you need. So let's say that I do have the green die right there, and let's go ahead and remove those out of the way. And now I have completed that recipe because I have my 2 greens, a beige colored one, and a red. And I would throw these back into the frame, and I would score a number of victory points. Now, the game is going to be triggered whenever somebody completes their 6th card. So just keep that in mind that as you complete cards, you're getting closer to the end of the game. Then, at the end of my turn, I get to draw another card. So I could take one of the recipe cards, or I could take one of these hype cards. Now let's cover what these hype cards do. These hype cards are going to be ways for you to get extra bonus points if you fulfill what is on the card. So this one in particular says home style. All the numbers on the dice need to be 2. So if coming back to this stuffed peppers card, if I had all 4 dice be the number 2, I would get 1 extra point for each die that was in the recipe. So that would be 4 extra points. But as you can see, it can be pretty hard to try and get exact numbers in this game. But that's just one example. Here's another one real quick. Wild Sun Gold tomatoes. Must discard 1 tomato before cooking. You get 3 points for each tomato that's in that recipe. So if you got a recipe that has a lot of tomatoes and you've got an extra tomato left over, you could cash in pretty good with that Sun Gold tomatoes. Now these tokens right here, they're going to let you break the rules a little bit. You get to use these one time every time that this has been refreshed. And we'll come back to that in here in just a second what that means. But what this lets you do is it lets you break that rule of 10 by changing the value of a die to whatever you want it to be, such as maybe a 2. Or you could change the color of a die when you're fulfilling a recipe. So if I didn't have enough greens, for instance, I could turn one of my other dice into a green using this token, flipping it over, and I could complete my stuffed peppers. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to go over before we finish out this portion of the video, and that is on these dice, they look like normal D6s, but they're not. There are no 1s on these dice. There are 2 sides on these dice. And then the second thing I want to tell you is that once a particular color of die is removed from the center shape, so let's remove those, and let's remove those, and let's remove those, and now we have no more pink dice left in this center shape. When that happens, you have to bring back all the dice that have been set off to the side. You're going to pick up these dice and place them back into this grid, and you're going to reset the grid, moving it around like such, just like you would if you were playing billiards, and you're ready to go again. It's that simple. But that's when you refresh the center area, and when you do that, anybody who's used their special token gets to flip it back over, and it can be used again. That's pretty much all there is to this game. There are some special rules when you're playing with kids that can make this game more family friendly. One might be that you don't play with the value of 10 being the limit on the pips. You simply are limited to any 3 dice on your turn. Another one would be to not play with the hype cards. But if you are playing with older players or players who know the game, then you can play with all the rules that I've explained to you so far in this video. Whoever has the most points after the round when somebody completes their 6th recipe card comes to an end and all players have equal amount of turns. You'll count up your points amongst your recipe cards that you've completed, as well as any hype cards that you cashed in on, and whoever has the most points is going to be the winner, and that's how you play Diced Veggies. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. And we're back, and now we're going to share our thoughts on Diced Veggies here from a gamer and non-gamer's perspective. So Sam, first thing I want to ask you about this one is the look to this game. Now, Kids Table Board Gaming, they do an absolutely excellent job with the cover presentation, the box artwork, and everything. And they have this unique look that is akin to all of their games with this particular look to it. But the artwork, the look out, the table presence of it out on the table with all these dice, you've got the cardboard kitchen knife, right? Like, I don't know, it looks really cool out on the table if you ask me, but what did you think about that?
Yeah, I thought the look of it was very intriguing, very interesting.
Yeah, and to me, it's got nice bright colors to it. Really makes me want to sit down and learn more about it and play a game or two of it. And then you throw into the fact that it's not a long game.
Yeah.
It is a pretty quick game, and it's a smaller game, right? Like, this is the box right here. This isn't going to take up any space on your shelf, right? There's a lot of things to like just about the look of the game, if that makes sense. That's kind of where I was going with that. But for you as a non-gamer, those things matter to you, right? Like, you can pack this and take this anywhere, and then it doesn't take a long time to play. Those are pros usually that we like to point out. But let's talk about the actual gameplay experience. What was that like for you?
I thought it was great. I think I'm realizing I really like order fulfillment.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to food. We have a couple different food themed games.
Sure, yeah.
And there's just something about it that's
It's real life in a sense,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. And I have a really fun time doing that, especially ones like this where you can kind of see everything out there. You see everybody doing it at the same time. It's not luck of the draw.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I like that. It's not, you do have some strategy and you're not just waiting to see, you are waiting to see what the other people will do, but you have more than one card that you can be working with at a time.
Yeah, you just said something right there that I didn't think about until just now that I do like about with this game that can be a problem with other games that are similar to this, where you are trying to fulfill something with your cards, and that is if there's too much chaos that happens on the playing surface or the board or whatever it is that you're working with, then it's almost like, well, I can just sit back and wait till it's my turn. I don't even need to pay attention to what's going on. And then, oh, it's my turn. Well, okay, I guess I'll do this.
Yeah.
That's not so much of an issue with this game because you can plan ahead and seeing what is already out there. Like you said, everything's already out there. Now it starts to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. So it may not still be available to you when it comes back to you, but at least if it is there, I could think about it a turn or two beforehand.
Yeah.
And I like that with this game because you can't do that with all the other games that are similar to this.
Yeah. I do think, too, this is one of the lowest ages to one of these order fulfillment type games. And we actually haven't played many games like that with our two oldest. And I think we easily could with this one because everyone's seeing what's going on at the same time. I'm seeing their orders. It would be easy to guide them without, them just sitting next to you and watching you play.
Yeah, really, I think the only maybe high complexity, and I use that in very loose sense with this game, are the cards that, I'm forgetting the name of what they're called, but they're the cards that you can fulfill when you've accomplished something in particular with your recipes that you're doing, for extra bonus points, let's say.
Yeah.
And just reading and understanding that text is really all the complexity there is to that. So that's all there really is. So when the box says ages 6 and up, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably play it with 3 of our 4 kids.
Yeah, I think so for sure. And if you're playing with adults, I mean, you can play that with just about anybody.
But I think it doesn't feel like a kid's game either. So I think that's, and I think we're both just now realizing what the age is for this, but I think we both agree with it. And that's a huge benefit for our family because we have a lot of kids games that we'll play with our kids, but there's not a lot that the kids can play that we also truly enjoy as adults.
Right, and that's the thing with kids gaming, right? Like, you'll do it begrudgingly because your kids want to, right? Like, but I don't want to be pulling my hair out halfway through. I would like to be able to enjoy it with them.
And I feel like this definitely hits the nail on the head for that.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get to pros and cons with this one. Sam, what are the things that really stood out to you in a good way with it?
I mean, setup is very simple. Playability is very simple. It's fairly quick game as well. So I think it hits all my marks for a non-gamer game.
Yeah, other things that I think ought to be said about it that, we've already kind of poked at a little bit are the look of it. It does have some table presence with the nice colored dice and the cardboard knife. It is fun. It is fun chopping those dice and sliding them away. Like, there's just a tactile part of that gaming experience of actually chopping the dice, right? And it's thematic because you sort of feel like you're maybe chopping veggies or meat or whatever, and that's kind of cool. But no, those things are nice about it, and it never. Here's another thing too. I was halfway worried with the playing surface getting smaller and smaller, that setting it back up mid-game would be jarring or abrupt and cause too much of a pause in the game. Like, hold on, let me get all these dice arranged and let me... Because some games can sort of be like that, right? Like, I got to get all these tiles reshuffled or all these cards reshuffled, but you don't have that be the case with this one. It's like a 10-second pause and then boom, you're ready to go again. So I think the gameplay is pretty smooth is where I'm going with that. So anything about it that maybe doesn't work so great?
Honestly, I can't think of a con straight up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing for me, and this is just coming from the gamer side, is that it's a fairly light game, right? And if you know that going into it, then that's not a con for you, right? Yeah. But I think when the box says ages 6 and up, you probably already know that it's going to be a lighter game. Don't expect anything that's going to be super heavy because that's not what you're getting with this one. But, that's just something you need to be aware of. But otherwise, I don't know that there's really many other cons either. It's a fun game. Okay, so let's get to our final scores here for Diced Veggies. Sam, I'll start with you. Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. Where does this one come in at?
I really liked this game, and I really like that we can play it with our kids. So it's going to be pretty high for me. I'd give it a 7.7.
Okay, very good. Yeah, very solid. I mean, that's a really high score, actually, for you especially. For me, I'm probably about a 7.4, a little bit lower than Sam, and that's probably just simply because I'm the gamer, right? Like I want to do the more heavy, not necessarily heavy, but medium weight gaming, let's say. But no, this has got a perfect little spot in the gaming world, and it's not trying to hide that, right? Like this is a game that is really built towards lightweight, family type gaming, and it just, like Sam says, it hits the nail on the head for that. So I don't think it's going to be leaving our collection. I think this is going to be one that's going to see some time out on the table.
Yeah.
Maybe fit in our travel box, and we can take it when we go camping.
Our travel box is now
overflowing.
So
we'll have to knock something out for this one.
We did just get a new camper, though, so maybe we can get a second one.
There we go. So lots to like here with this one. I think it's a really cool game. The game is Diced Veggies. It is from Kids Table Board Games. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this game.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.